25 years ago, when I graduated from high school and my hair looked like this pretty much every day, something happened to me regarding the senior prom that I have been waiting for the past 25 years to share with somebody in the right way. Well, what better way could there possibly be than story time? Because this is Story Time with Linda. I'm Linda, this is Linda's World, and this story time kicks off right now. I wasn't born a middle-aged woman, you know. I was a teenager once myself, and I went to high school same as anybody. I went to high school at a very weird time in like pop culture. It was the grunge or alternative time when like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Nine Inch Nails were making music, and guys wore flannel and girls wore like combat boots with their flowered dresses and velvet chokers. It's very strange. It was 1991 through 1995, and I wasn't exactly sure I fit in that genre. Not sure I fit in any genre anyway, but specifically that one. And so not fitting into high school has a great deal to do with the story I'm about to tell you. Now, before I tell it, I would like to say that if you're just finding this video by chance and you're not yet a member of Linda's World, well, why don't you go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to hit the notification bell because there are so many more story times and other videos coming up in Linda's World. And now, on with the tale. So yeah, it was the 90s, and it was a time before social media, and it was a time before the internet really at all. It was a time when you like typed stuff on a typewriter or a word processor, and after like looking up your homework in the encyclopedia, you know, like that kind of time. It was a time when people wore their hair kind of like this a lot, and it was a time when you pretty much fell into two camps. You were either like a Pearl Jam Nirvana type of person, or you were like a house and techno kind of person. Now, I totally see the merit in both, but that's not what the story's about. So, anyway, prom. Okay? So, I just spent the last 4 years of my high school pretty much just sitting in class and not really talking to anybody except for like one or two Asian girls that sat next to me, and this one guy, Mike, who used to be my friend, and occasionally his male friends who were just kind of strange and, I don't know, just like not quite sure if they wanted to be Kurt Cobain or not, you know, those kind of people. And so it wasn't like the worst thing ever. I wasn't bullied. I was bullied K through 8, but in high school it was just ignored. So I don't know, I kind of took it, and that was great. But the thing is that being ignored for 4 years does not work when you want to go to your senior prom. Now, the senior prom was going to take place on the night of June 6th, 1995. And it was like a big deal. We went to a restaurant. The school where I teach is actually the school where I went. And for many years, for like decades, they went to this one restaurant in New York called the Water's Edge, and it was great. I went as a teacher a couple of years running. And so, you know, the deal in New York City, I don't know how other people do this, but the deal is that you get really dressed up with your tuxes and gowns and whatnot, and you all get together in a group and rent a limo, and the more people go in the limo, the cheaper it is, obviously. And then you take your limo to like, I don't know, dinner or to get high or whatever people do, and then go to the prom, and then go to somebody's after party or like a club thing, and like go eat diner food and go home and go to bed. And then the next day, after like a disco nap, everybody goes out to Six Flags in New Jersey. That's like at least what I heard people do, you know? So needless to say, this sounded like a great deal of fun, and anybody who knows me, and I've said this millions of times in all my videos, I like to boogie. I am a dancer, and I like to get all dressed up. I like to put on like silver sparkling shoes and like a pretty black dress and like just like boogie into the strobe lights. Like, I love to boogie and I love to get dressed up. So the prom would be awesome. Also, I'd never been in a limo before, and so I didn't get to be in a limo until I was 35, and so I was like, I mean, like, who doesn't think this way? Like, all through high school, all through like junior high school, I used to read like Teen Magazine or whatever when I was like younger and think like the prom, ooh, the prom, it's like high school wedding, you know, it's like really cool. It's like the night when you get to sparkle and be fun and be cool, and your parents can't say what time you get home, and like it's awesome, you know? So basically I was all geared up. Well, here's the trouble. If you don't really have friends, then you really don't have a chance of getting asked to the prom, and you really don't have a chance of going to the prom at all, even with friends. We had a thing, and I don't know again if this is just regional, like if it's like a Brooklyn thing or whatever, but it was cool like in the 1990s in Brooklyn, like the time when I went to school. It was okay if you went to the prom as a group of people and nobody was actually paired off. Okay, so I figured, okay, that's my ticket. That's how I can do this. I don't have a date, but like I can try to squeeze into somebody's limo who I talk to in class or whatever, and I can go to the prom. Well, was wrong. I sat in English class. It was the honors Shakespeare elective with this girl named Elizabeth, and Elizabeth was talking to some other girl, and they were talking about, and I knew her, I spoke to her a few times, and she was not unfriendly to me, she was fine. And she knew my friend Mike, and so I was like, okay, perfect, I could ask if they have space, and then I'll pay for like my share. I'll get my ticket and my dress, and I'll pay for like my share of the limo, and I'll just get to go, just to be in the room of the prom. You know, it doesn't have to be a night that will last forever in magic. It just has to be a good evening, you know? So, so I went ahead and asked Elizabeth if she had space. And she said, yeah. And I was like, that's awesome. And then she goes, but we don't want you in our limo. Dun, dun, dun. So strike one, right? Okay, so then I was like, okay, so I guess I can't do that. Well, then I went ahead and had my first date. Now, I have a video from when I was still doing Top 10 Tuesdays on this channel called The 10 Worst Dates I've Ever Had, and I will put that in the description below because it's hilarious. And so number 10 on that list was my first date. So I went ahead and had my first date, and it was this guy named George, and it's a long, weird story, and we went to like the diner, and I'm not going to get into it because I have it on video already, but I was like, OMG, if I string this person along, I don't really like him, but like if I like him enough to handle him for an evening at the prom, then, because you could bring outside people if you like wrote a note or whatever to like the dean, then you could like, I could like show up with like someone totally out of character. It's like, ooh, Linda's dating someone from the outside. Oh my god, that quiet girl that never talks to anyone that we can't stand, who doesn't fit in, she's a boyfriend, you know? So I thought it would be so freaking awesome. So I tried to see if I could hook that up, but no, I just couldn't bear with it. And also he didn't call me back, so you know. Then there was this person. And this person actually appears in my top 10 dates video also. This was a person, I will name him Dave because I don't want to put, his name is very descriptive. I don't want to put him out there. And so Dave sat next to me in the 11th grade in chemistry class, and I copied off him because I'm an English teacher. I do English and history. I don't do math and science. So, so I copied his chemistry. And we talked, and I used to share stories about like my weird family tales, whatever, and he thought it was amusing, and we got along well, and he was friends with my friend Mike too. So I was like, okay, perfect. So maybe Dave will ask me to the prom, right? And so Dave didn't ask me to the prom. Okay. So then prom night came. But first, well, it was a Wednesday. First, I should tell you what happened on that Monday before the prom. So Monday night before the prom, I was dyeing my hair. And I used to just dye my hair out of a box before I went to the salon. And so I was rinsing out, I was in the kitchen sink at home rinsing the blonde hair dye out of my head when I got a phone call, my mother answered, from my boss. I worked at this bridal registry store that no longer exists called Berta 67. And so one of my managers was calling me up and she said, could you come in? I'd like to discuss something with you. And I knew I was being fired, right? And it's the only job I've ever gotten fired from. So I didn't start work until the work week for me began on a Tuesday. So it was like Monday. So she was like, come in please, and I want to talk to you. So I was like, all right. So I quickly fixed myself up, rinsed out my dye, put my hair up in a way, and I went down the block and I went to go talk to my manager. And she was like, we hired too many people when we expanded. That was a lie. And so we're letting you go, but I want to let you know now because your work schedule, I don't want you clocking in tomorrow, you know? So I was like, okay, cool. And so I walked home, fired, and that was that. But payday for us at Berta 67 was Wednesday. And Wednesday was the night of the prom. So I had to go pick up my final check. So Wednesday night, June 6th, 1995, my mother said, you want to go take a walk with me to 18th Avenue? That's the main shop, one of the main shopping areas in our town. And go to Berta and go get your check, and then I'll go shopping. It was like a houseware store. So I said, sure. So I went up and I got my check, and this was prom night. Okay, it was about like 6:30 at night, like after dinner. And we walked up and I got my paycheck and I went to the register to cash it. That's what you do like in retail, or do you still do that? I don't know. There was no such thing as direct deposit in 1995. And so my mother meanwhile was shopping in like the housewares part, you know, where you have like Rubbermaid bins and whatever. And so she bought some stuff for the kitchen. She bought like a new garbage pail, a silverware drawer organizer thing, and she brought it to the register, and the girl knew it was my mother, and so she gave me my employee discount one last time because she didn't know that I was receiving my final paycheck. So we brought the stuff home, and I spent the evening cleaning the kitchen. I reorganized all the silverware and put it in the drawer, and I rinsed out some stuff, and I put the garbage pail together. I basically, did some like kitchen tidying at, my mother's home, which I used to do back in the day before I had my own home. And that was my prom night. I spent my prom night collecting my last paycheck from a job that fired me and cleaning my mother's kitchen, right? But just when you're thinking, but Linda, how could your life be any more depressing? It gets worse. So graduation happens because that's life, and people go to college because that's also life. Now, I stayed local, went to Brooklyn College, a decision I'll regret for the rest of my life. My friend Mike went to this school in New Jersey, and he moved there and slept there. So I didn't see him for a long time. So we're no longer in contact, but back then we used to be in contact. So so one evening he called me up on the house phone, because years ago there was no such thing as a cell phone. So I took the corded phone from the kitchen, right, a long, long cord. People who are old enough, you know what I'm talking about, and went in the bedroom and talked to Mike. Mike had a confession for me, okay? We were on the phone, and he said that back in May or so, right, before, when prom preparation was happening, Dave, remember Dave from chemistry class? Dave wanted to take me to the prom, and he asked Mike, he was like, what do you think I should do? I really want to ask Linda to the prom, but I'm not sure. I'm not confident in her answer, right? I think she likes me like that, but I'm not sure. And Mike told Dave, no, don't bother. I know she just likes you as a friend. If you ask her, she will say no. Trust me. And Dave listened to Mike, and he didn't ask me to the prom. I could have gone. I could have been normal. I could have had prom night like everybody else. I could have been a regular friggin' teenager. I could have possibly dated Dave. I mean, years later I did, and it was a terrible mistake, but I didn't know that, and I could have learned that when I was 18 instead of when I was 30, So geez Louise, Mike, and I was absolutely horrified, and I didn't talk to him for a year because I was really, really, really pissed off. And normally I don't tell anyone when I'm pissed off at them. I always figure this is not healthy, but when I'm angry with you, you'll never know it, because I figure my anger is my business, And so I didn't let Mike know that I was angry, really. I mean, I let him know a little on the phone, but I didn't let him know how serious, right? And so I just casually quit speaking to Mike for a whole year, because I was just dude, you blew so much of what I wanted. You in one conversation with Dave, you ruined me, that's really messed up. And of course he did it because he liked me as more than a friend. And I really, 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 really did not. And I've asked people since who've corroborated the fact that we shouldn't have done that. He's been introduced to people. I've given some stories, and people know that Mike isn't for me. But but the point is that I was like, dude, you killed it. You ruined my last chance. I spent 4 years. I mean, no, that's not true. 13 years of public school, kindergarten through the 12th grade, being bullied, and then bullied and beaten, and then completely ignored. And then I turn 18, I'm an adult, I'm a full adult, and I can do whatever I want, right? And I have the money to do it because I had a job, right? And I could go out and have one final evening being a normal teen for one effing night of my life, and you killed it, okay? And that just pissed me off beyond all repair. I don't even, I'm pissed today. I'm 43 years old, and I'm pissed. I mean, I'm still pissed at Mike about the Spanish regions, but that's a whole different story. That's another video that I can't, but once I get to being angry about something, I just have to let fly. In the novel The Bluest Eye, when the mother is angry about the daughter with one thing, but then she connects all the offenses they've ever committed, I do that. It's well, I'm mad at you because you do this, you do this, you do this, and I just let fly. And so I guess I've let fly. But I guess the moral of this story time has been that when people want to know, why I don't like people, or when people want to know how come I'm different and I can't share cool teen stories or childhood stories or 20-something stories, whatever, it's stories of my youth about being cool, and having a good time and whatnot. When people there's somebody playing a radio outside my window, and I'm pretty angry with them too. Um, but like when people want to know why I don't have cool stories to tell, it's because I have these stories to tell. It's because this is how people treated me. This was my school. This was my life. And I don't know what the hell else to say except I'm so happy I have a YouTube channel because I get to tell you guys this, and it kills two birds with one stone. Bird number one, I unburden myself, of course. Bird number two, you can take it for what it is and use it in some kind of lesson format. I am a teacher after all. To not wind up like me. You know, like the old expression, it's too late for me, save yourselves. Go ahead and do that, okay? And if you're watching this video and you have a terrible prom story and you would like to share it, well, please do so in the comments section. And if you're watching this video and you had a tremendously awesome prom story and you'd like to share it, put that in the comments. If you just feel kind of bad for me and you think that sucked, well then put that in the comments because I really appreciate your feedback. So if you enjoyed what you saw, give this video a thumbs up like, and like I said, drop your comments, even if it's just about my different hair. And I will see you in the next video. I've got a lot of stuff coming up, and summer vlogs are happening soon because, you know, it's summer outside, so there are vlogs. Anyway, I hope that the rest of your day is not as terrible as my prom night, and I will catch you in the next one.